Greetings, gamers, and welcome to a Misfit Gamer Studios production. I am your host, Vortex. That gentleman over there is your co-host, Kage, and this is your March community stream. On today's episode, the community has voted for pop culture builds. The pop culture icon that we are going to tackle today is Alucard from Castlevania. Join us as we find out how this is supposed to look in D&D. To start off with pop culture builds, we first need to identify and understand what it is that we're building off of. Who is Alucard? What can he do? And how is that going to translate? As always, the ultimate goal is to refine these characters down to a playable D&D character with as little modification as possible. We want to use as much of D&D rules as written as we can with as little homebrewing as possible, only when necessary to guarantee that we get the character spot on.
I like it. I'm here for it.
And as always, when we're done, we will end up with 3 write-ups. We will have the icon accurate version, the D&D accurate version, and a roadmap. The icon accurate version will be the D&D representation without any additives. So it will only be exactly how the character is meant to be represented. But if D&D gave it a specialty because of the race or class that we chose, that version will not show it. The D&D accurate version will show anything that D&D added that wasn't specific to the build, but was just specific to the mechanics that D&D added per the rules that we used, such as a race or a class. The roadmap, on the other hand, will simply be a list of criteria that will need to be met by certain levels in order to be able to build this from the ground up if you wanted to start a character at level 1. The first 2 will be their full forms as level 20s, but the roadmap will be more of what you would need to do to build this from level 1 and adventure with it in order to gain all of the capabilities of it by the end. All right, so let's figure out what Alucard's all about. Let's figure out what he can do and how that's going to equate to D&D.
I don't know how much of what went down in the anime is canon for the lore behind this guy, but in the game, was his father, was Dracula alive and around in the game?
From what I remember is, yeah, he didn't come in until the 3rd Castlevania. So you were fighting Dracula in the first.
Okay.
You were part of the Belmont family. You were fighting Dracula, and eventually they made him a supporting character in Castlevania 3, but then became one of the main characters in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And that's basically it.
Okay.
It is just Dracula's son. It is just another protagonist to the series.
Okay.
And we are dealing with a vampire-human hybrid. This is not full vampire. This is technically a half-breed. But what I do appreciate right out the gate is that they do consider it a Dhamphir. And by their logic, the Dhamphir are the half-breed children of vampire and human, with all the strengths of the vampire and few or none of the weaknesses, save for the thirst of blood. So it is basically Blade. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Castlevania treats a Dhamphir like Blade, the Daywalker.
That's
Now, what we need to figure out, though, is in terms of D&D. We've looked this up before. We've actually used Dhamphir,
yes,
ironically, in the first pop culture build with Shazam. So what I'm really curious about is how much is actually going to have to be brought over.
For sure.
All right, so let's find out what D&D says about the Dhamphir, because we're probably going to use this because it's probably the closest, but I still want to see what the difference is. Poised between the worlds of living and the dead, very close to a vampire, Dhamphir retains their grip on life, yet are endlessly tested by vicious hungers. Their ties to the undead grant a taste of the vampire's deathless prowess in the form of increased speed, dark vision, and life-draining bite. So these are all so far very much in line. With unique insights in the nature of the undead, many Dhamphirs commit adventurers and monster hunters. Their reasons are often deeply personal. Some seek danger, imagining monsters as personifications of their own hungers. Others pursue revenge against whatever turned them into a Dhamphir. And still others embrace the solitude of the hunt, striving to distance themselves from those who attempted their hunger. Like, so far, nothing has to get dropped. Can accept everything. The Dhamphir hungers, obviously he's going to get blood.
Sure.
The origins, a reincarnated of an ancestral vampire tyrant. I mean, you are literally the son of Dracula.
Easy squeezy.
You're packed with a predatory deity. No. You survived being attacked. No. A parasite lives. No. Tragedy erupted. No. You are diminished form. No. One of your parents was a vampire, and a radical experiment. So, okay. It's still one of your parents is a vampire. Like, that just makes the most sense.
It just so happens that parent was the most powerful vampire.
Yeah. So far, I think we're on the right track. So let me do something here. Let me pull this up. There we go. What are we looking at here? So classes, levels. Let me pull this up. So race, classes, level. We are right. We know that so far.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry. Let me update this real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, boom. Race, the Dhamphir. We have bloodlust and we have a vampire parent. So far, so good.
Okay.
Let's see. Traits.
Now this is where we start getting into the nitty gritty.
All right. Well, the Dhamphir, this is basically what D&D is going to give us. So we're just going to make sure with this, do we need to flag anything to separate between the icon accurate build
True.
and the D&D accurate build? Right now, they are both 1-for-1.
Agreed.
So let me pull this back up for chat. Let's look at the Dhamphir traits for D&D. So the ability scores get 2-in-1 or 3-by-1. Languages you could speak, read, and write common, and one other language that you and the DM deem appropriate. You're humanoid, size, medium or small, speed 35. Ancestral legacy, if you replace a race with this lineage, you keep oh yeah, we've talked about this before. This won't apply. This applied to Shazam. It will not apply here. Because remember, we use this as the dragon.
Oh, yes. I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
We don't need the ancestral legacy. That's okay. Dark vision. You can see in dim light 60 feet as if in bright light. Let's double check.
Did it say anything about their vision?
It did say they have heightened senses compared to humans. So I would say that, yeah, okay, there's no reason to suggest that dark vision isn't something that he would have. Classically, they're creatures of the night. They turn into bats. I'm okay with dark vision.
I do think dark vision fits
with the heightened senses and all of that. Deathless nature, you don't need to breathe.
Love that.
Let's see. In the video game, you see him breathing. I think that is a byproduct of the art style and the aspect of the game that's just a character model. But I would go so far as
I gotta act like you. I gotta do
just because I don't need air doesn't mean I can't blend in by breathing. So I'm okay saying that he doesn't have to breathe, but the act that we see of breathing is just more of he doesn't stand out if he does that.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. So, still going, no red flags yet. Spider climb.
So crazy. That's just you have that.
Yeah.
You just have that.
You just straight.
That's great. I'm not gonna lie, you can just get like a pair of slippers called the spider climb slippers.
So Alucard in the Castlevania wiki, superhuman agility. He can leap several feet and is able to move, jump, climb, often using shadow claws or other supernatural means of navigating. So he gets like abilities. So I'm totally saying that spider climb works.
I swear he could fly.
Alucard can turn his cloak into a pair of wings, although unlike the wings that the vampires have, which are bat-like, his are bird-like in appearance. So in the anime, he can. Okay, so far, Spider Climb.
Spider Climb, love it.
And then Vampiric Bite. We're going to keep Vampiric Bite because he's half vampire and he just doesn't want to.
Sure.
All right, so as of right now, we are 100% okay calling this Dhamphir. It has the blood hunger, vampire parent, and everything else is 100%. So, oh, you know what I should have done? I got an idea. Hold on. Everyone, hold on. I know you're all so excited. I'm going to move this from here. Copy that.
That's good.
Yeah?
That's good.
All right, so what's next?
So we had our race. Yeah. I think one of the things that I always want to talk about is what level do you think Alucard would be?
I mean, to be fair, we went a little bit out of order. I think normally we talk entirely about the icon first.
Oh, and all
then
of his,
we get into the build, but we did kind of skip ahead because we immediately got Dhamphir and had to verify whether that was working.
Sure.
So a little bit out of order, but we can adjust for that. Here, let's now look a little bit more because now we need to figure out class,
yes,
subclass, spells and abilities, feats, and things of that sort. So. Sure. All right, so let's start with Castlevania Wiki here, and then we'll move on to the actual Wikipedia entry. So I'm going to kind of skim a whole lot. I don't think everybody wants to just hear me read everything here. But the offspring of Dracula and Lisa, half-born, grew up under the influence of his father, molded him into a warrior who would one day fight for the side of evil. So he did turn on his father at some point. Oh, and he actually chose the name Alucard, originally named Adrian, but chose the name Alucard to represent that he's against his father's viewpoints.
Interesting.
I didn't know that he chose his name. That's the part that I didn't.
I did not know that either. That's very cool.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Alucard is an adept swordsman and typically wielded one-handed swords. Mm-hmm. Other attacks uses dark magic As a shapeshifter, they can change themselves into a bat, wolf, or mist. Okay, real quick, we need to discuss the bat, wolf, mist. So now I know much more about second edition, obviously. I don't know off the top of my head. Is there a spell that can give you like a gaseous or mist form?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely ways to do it.
Okay. Okay.
There's spells.
Because Bat and Wolf are easy. We can make him a druid. Well, because what level does a druid need to be to get their wild
Second
shape?
level.
Second level?
Yeah. Well, yes. In 2014, it's second level. You get wild shape.
We could multi-class because we have magic and we have swordsmanship. So we could do druid as a multi-class to get magic and swordsmanship, or to get magic and wild shape and cut that all at once. I don't know how we justify that as dark magic, but you know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna lie. With everything that you've put on that list so far, I think possibly dip 2 levels into druid, but I genuinely think a warlock feels like the best thing for having all of these like intermittent, like you're part fighter, but you also have enough magic to be able to like do different things with it. And this feels like how you do that, like being a mid-caster, everything you cast is at max level.
Being heavily leaning on swordsman, I think we have to multi-class. I think warlock druid might require a third multi-class. I don't know anything about Alucards.
Sure.
In terms of if it's like a full-on, he just goes berserk and has like 5 attacks. Can't really get 5 attacks out of a warlock. I just don't know. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. I haven't seen the anime.
I have an idea, and you might not like it, but I have an idea.
I'm just saying, like, and if we have the monk option, we have the monk option, but I don't know, so I don't want to sure. I don't want to confirm anything, but yeah, so we have shapeshifter, which could easily come from druid. Magic can come from warlock, druid, sorcerer, or possibly a subclass.
You could also get the shape changing from just straight up magic using polymorph as well.
That's true. So we could just give him a polymorph spell.
So like if you don't want to like do too many multi-classes, like that's totally a possibility.
And dark magic doesn't really exist in D&D outside of like necrotic magic, so we could make him a necromancer.
There's a wizard necromancer class, but
so these are the things that we can kind of pull from. Because swordsman doesn't require fighter, but like the swordsman's the wrench in all of this. Here we go. Okay, powers and abilities. Dark magic. So although Alucard can more than hold his own physically, it is magically where he is truly dangerous. Okay, so he's damn near gonna have to be a 50-50 in both of what he can do. Like not 50-50 as in 10 levels. So like his father, they can use many types of dark magic. It makes it that his powers at least half of what Dracula is, since Dracula trained him. So he has Hellfire, which could easily be Hellish Rebuke, Firebolt,
Eldritch Blast, even what do you call it? Burning Hands. I think that's a great option.
What is his Hellfire? Let's see what is Hellfire. Hellfire is a spell, powerful attack that summons 3 or more fireballs that are usually launched in a straight fashion.
Scorching Ray.
So yeah, it's just 3 fireballs across.
Scorching Ray.
Yeah.
Scorching Ray.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not showing chat what's going on here. So you see, this is what we're looking at. Like it's this little Hellfire where he just fires 3 balls and they go. That's Scorching Ray because it's like basically
Scorching Ray. Yeah, 100%. It's blast. It's 3 attacks. It's exactly that.
Okay, so I'm gonna add that to the list. So we have Scorching Ray. We know that we need that. We also have dark magic for Hellfire. Cool. Okay, I'm liking this. Let's see. What else do we have here? Dark Metamorphosis. Let's see. What is Dark Metamorphosis? Used by Alucard at the start of the game. After activating this spell, Alucard will have a red glowing outline around him. Any blood that splashes on him will heal 8 hit points worth of damage. Blood is only spilled from certain enemies. The amount of HP restored. So translate that to D&D, it's a healing spell that heals based on the damage ideal. Because the damage ideal could be equated to how much blood
Sure.
So what like spell heals you based on what damage you do?
Vampiric Touch. You touch the touch of your shadowy wreathed hand can siphon life force from others to heal your wounds. Make a melee attack against a creature within your reach. On a hit, the target takes 3d6 necrotic damage and you regain hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage dealt.
And that equates to the amount of blood spilled. I'm okay with that. So we'll call that Vampiric Touch spell.
That's a warlock spell.
Huh? I thought it was a necromantic wizard spell.
It's a necromancy spell. It's a wizard and a warlock spell. It's on both their spell lists.
Oh, it's on both the spell lists. And it's a level what?
It's level 3.
So Vampiric Touch and Scorching Ray could easily do Hellfire and Metamorphosis. I'm okay with both of those. So right now, Dark Magic and Magic, we have the equations there. I'm liking this. Tetra Spirit and Soul Steel. So let's find out what these do. Tetra Spirit works in a similar way as Summon Spirit, although it summons 4 spirits instead and does a little bit more damage. So this is a summons 4 friendly ghost familiars, like little helpers.
Okay.
So what spell summons 4 creatures? Because there is a spell that you can choose, like one of this.
Take your pick. Summon Fae, summon Elemental. Like the question is, what type of creature do you want?
This says it is a spirit. So what could
I would
summon
say Fae would be the closest thing to spirits.
Can it summon 4? I thought there was one that you could summon like ghostly apparitions of like creatures. Like basically it was like ghostly spirits, but then you had a choice. You could choose like one of a certain CR, 2 of a lower CR.
So that is,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Conjure animals.
Conjure animals, yes.
Do you summon 1 beast of CR2 lower, 2 of CR1, or 4 beasts of half or lower?
And so that's the one where you can choose the number and the quantity and all of that.
I would say that this is it. Conjure animals, because I think that these are, is it the animals or is
they're
it like,
specifically beast types, so they're not like...
They are face spirits.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, spell allows you to summon different number of face spirits that take the form of the beasts.
Okay.
So I'm totally okay.
They can
especially
just take
if
the
we're
form
considering,
of whatever.
If we're gonna do like a warlock druid, you know, again, because we need the shape change. So if we're really thinking about druid, and what level spell is this?
It's a low level spell. That's a 3rd level spell.
So 5th level druid, and then everything else in warlock so far could be okay.
Theoretically.
But you said polymorph.
You don't have to be 5th level in druid.
You just have to be a level high enough.
You have to be able to cast 5th level spells. So
warlock can cast 5th level spells, but they'll have access to the druid spell book. That's fine. So still, we only need 2 levels in druid in order to be able to say we can shapeshift. All right, so I think we are okay with Tetra Spirit being Conjure Animal.
Yes. Because if you give it the stat block of any of those regular CR creatures, it can look like whatever it needs to look like.
Because it's a spirit fae taking the form of any creature, and this is just 4 spirit creatures. Not only do we get Tetra Spirit, but then we get Soul Steal. This spell in Castlevania series, its name suggests it allows the caster to instantly steal the soul from another creature, damaging them and in most cases killing them in the process, and then convert their life essence to heal themselves. So this is just like life drain.
I think at least it might not be in 5th edition anymore.
I found it on D&D Wiki. Life Drain 5e spell. It is a 4th level spell, Necromancy. You attempt to drain the life out of a creature within range. The target must make a Constitution saving throw at the start of each of its turns, taking 46 necrotic damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful. If the target successfully saves 3 times against the spell, this doesn't heal you, though.
It just drains life away from them.
It literally just drains. Whereas this one...
the other spell we got is the only one that I know that heals.
Yeah. Oh, Soul Cage, 6th level Necromancy. When a humanoid dies within 60 feet, you can trap their soul. Once captured, the soul can be used for regaining HP, 2d8 plus your charisma modifier.
Oh, that's perfect.
Asking a question or spine.
That's Xanathar's guide.
So let's call it Soul Cage. Fuck it, let's do it.
I fucking love that.
I'm okay with, I think that's the closest we're gonna get. I mean, this does say that you steal their soul, damaging them, in most cases killing them. So it's a light translation. Okay, cool. So I think we are good. Now we have Soul Cage and we have Soul Steal. What else do we got? He can also use his dark magic to alter his physical appearance, which is implied to how he was able to assume the identity of someone else. So is this the spell Disguise Self, or is it Polymorph?
I think it should be Alter Self or Disguise Self. I'm pretty sure Alter Self actually changes you.
Alter Self is pretty much the better version overall. It's a 1st level spell versus a 2nd level. They basically both last the same amount of time. They both cost the same amount of stuff. The difference is Alter Self does have concentration, so that's a big deal. That's a big difference.
Okay.
Disguise Self is an illusion based, while Alter Self is actual real physical changes. Disguise Self can change your clothes, while Alter Self is only your body. Alter Self has touch proof. Disguise Self is basically, it can change more, but it's instantly just dissolved if anyone recognizes it. And it gives you no benefits. It gives you no changes.
I would say the fact that I've seen vampires do that little thing where they like shoot their fingernails out before.
I think the idea is that the Alter Self is probably the more vampiric version. So we're going to go with Alter Self 100%. Shape shifting. Yeah. So shapeshifting, we can shape into a wolf, a bat, or a mist. All right, so speed, he can run faster than a bullet, but 35 is fine. Strength, like most vampires, Alucard possesses strength beyond normal human form. Summoning, Alucard can summon many creatures via relic cards, such as Assisting Fairy, Elemental Spear-wielding Demon, a Fireball-shooting Bat, a Soul-stealing Ghost, or a powerful sword. Conjure Animal kind of covers some of that, and we can also give him some other conjure spells.
Sure.
Swordsman's skills. Here's where it's going to be the defining factor of whether or not we need fighter or if we can full on lean into warlock.
Okay.
Alucard mastered a variety of weapons, but none as he mastered his mother's sword. Alucard's sword is a family heirloom from his mother's side. He also has a shield and a mail.
I love the fact that it's a longsword. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that they specifically in here say it's a one-handed weapon. So I will say,
is longsword in D&D two-handed?
No,
Oh,
it's versatile, which means you can do it one-handed or two-handed,
which makes sense because
the damage die.
Most of the depictions I've seen, it looks like it could be two-handed, but he chooses to do one-handed, kind of like Sephiroth.
Sure. So I think that the only problem is that he's doing less damage theoretically with it, but maybe he only puts his other hand on it when he wants to really bear down on you.
So that's all we know is that he is just very, very skilled with that weapon. That doesn't stop him from being a warlock only. In terms of superhuman senses, because of the vampire heritage, his sense of smell is very keen. So what's really interesting is that's not a lot of them. He has a lot of like special items.
I don't know if it says anything about his fighting style with his sword in the wiki, but in the show, he was able to wield his blade telekinetic.
Yes, I did see something about that.
Did we go over that?
Oh, here we go. Psionics. What we know for sure is he has levitation, command over magical sword. Alucard possesses the ability to magically command his sword. He displayed this ability by calling the scabbard to his side so that he could draw it and then return the sword after him. Alucard can expertly use his sword in a variety of circumstances. Alucard can make use of his telekinesis to have his sword lash out independently from his body. This technique is an extremely effective, unorthodox style of fighting. I mean, that kind of almost sounds like magic weapon, isn't it? It just kind of lashes out for him. But it does make sense if he has minor, if he can like let it go and then bring it back, it does kind of make I can kind of control it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He has intimidation bonuses. He has a genius level in intellect, alchemy skills. Yeah, so realistically speaking, he doesn't have a lot of like truly innate powers. This is actually a really, really good character to translate to D&D because it's really pretty straightforward. He is the type of build that's going to fall very much in line with what's his race and what's his class. Everything else, the backstory is already written for us. His backstory, his lore, his character, his personality, all that's written for us. He doesn't have anything that's going to challenge us in terms of like, he's basically a vampire that can wield a sword and cast magic and shapeshift. Those are the three primary things this character can do. So here's what I want to figure out. We know for a fact we need Druid at level 2, right? We just need shape change.
As if I would say, I would like to start with that and only take it out if we have to.
So let's go down. We have 18 levels left. I don't think we need a 20th level warlock to pull this off. Right?
Correct.
We do not need a 20th level warlock, so automatically we can accept the second level in Druid.
Sure.
We'll do second level Druid for now, which means we have 18 levels left.
So when it comes to your Mystic Arcanum, you get your 6th level choice at level 11. You get your 7th level choice at level 13. You get your 8th level choice at level 15, and you get your 9th level choice at level 7.
Okay, so Hecate has a good point. So at 17th level, you get your 9th, but if you do the 15th for level 8, and you take Hexblade, you'd get your 2 attacks with your pack weapon. So we do get the multi-attack. And that still gives us 3 levels, which means if we dumped him into Wizard, because no reason to dump him into Fighter, because we won't get a multi-attack.
At the very least, have Action Surge. Action Surge
level 3?
Level 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The 2.
If it's at level 2, then you do another one in Wizard and get the Wizard spell list.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
If you really wanted to max out everything, we could do 2 in Druid, 15 in Warlock.
Yeah, that's 5. Yeah.
15 in Warlock, and then you would. Okay, but why why specifically are we trying to keep Warlock?
Again, because mechanically what Warlock gives you. Number 1, you get all your spells back on a short rest. Number 2, you always cast at max level. Number 3, you are split between magic and physical. Like, you're not like a full caster. You're not just focused on your magic, but you're also focused on this other aspect. Now, granted, warlocks, you can choose between the tome versus the
I get the idea of you're not a full caster, you're not like a full fighter. I don't know if I'm on board with the idea that Alucard's build represents casting at the highest level. Because I'm thinking, like, I've never looked at Alucard as being like, I've looked at him as being an adversary that you're not quite sure what you're up against. I've seen him being the one that will surprise you in battle, but I've never looked at like Dracula Alucard as like, I've looked at them as a devastating force, but because of their prowess and their knowledge, not so much of because they're sheer force, right?
Sure. Exactly.
So when I think of this, I'm thinking, my gut instinct says I'm okay with Druid for the shapeshifting. Outside of that, I'm thinking how many levels of fighter to give it action surge and at bare minimum 1 extra attack, which I believe is level 5. Because that to me feels like what you would expect from Alucard, not Dracula himself, who would just literally tear you down in 2 seconds because he's like lightning fast and he'll have 1,000,000 attacks, right? But his son being slightly diminished, I still feel like he's the kind of person that will try to outsmart you. If he can't outsmart you, he'll subvert you. If he can't subvert you, he'll use magic. And if he can't use magic, the last thing you'd expect is to him to get off a couple hits before you can even react. So my gut instinct was it doesn't need to be a 10, 15 level fighter.
Sure.
But if we're going to choose fighter, he needs to at least have his action surge and his extra attack, because otherwise one of those by itself isn't enough. Both of those together make him feel formidable, just as I just want him to be able to handle his own melee.
Sure.
That gives us 13 levels left, which means we could go 13 levels warlock, 13 levels wizard, more levels fighter, and just dip into wizard, or we could split the wizard warlock.
With the idea of being able to add levels of fighter, I would say the biggest thing that would answer the question of what else would we want to add to that is what spells we absolutely need to make what we're doing.
I think we figured it out. I think for sure we need Scorching Ray, Vampiric Touch.
Would you say Fireball as well?
Yeah. Scorching Ray,
okay.
Vampiric Touch, Conjure Animal, Soul Cage, and Fireball. Those 5 are a necessity. That is what we know for sure Alucard does. So whatever class can do those 5.
Wizard.
I'm pretty sure Wizard can do all of them.
So the only one that they don't have access to is Conjure Animals,
which is
Druid.
That with
Druid.
And we automatically get
that with Druid.
So what was the minimum level of Wizard we would need?
11.
So 11, 12, 13. So that's 7 levels in Fighter. What do you get at 7th level Fighter?
Just more subclass abilities. So
I mean, depending on the subclass though, even in all of the descriptions, he is first depicted as the magic user before he's a fighter. That would fit the description better. I'm gonna put it down. I'm just gonna write it down just so we can see what it looks like. But because that would give us, the minimum spells we need. It would give us multiple attacks and some extra bonuses. It would give us the chance to do more actions. It would give us a chance to shapeshift. I get it. It does feel a little bit weird to be a fighter, wizard, druid. I can understand the idea of the druidic mindset of feeling one with the world. Like sure. You are alive with the world that can't die. You both just sit there and watch the ages go by. So I could see the druidic mindset of you being more one with the things that live with you. I mean, you are more akin to a tree at that point than you are the humans.
Yeah.
Like you could plant a tree and you will be there when it is, 1,000 feet tall, towering over the 19th city that stood here. That's all I'm saying, right? I could feel the vampire connection with the druid. The fighter makes sense. Does the concept and lore behind wizards learning their magic and researching and studying, does that make sense? No, because he kind of just got it all innately. But he did, again, learn everything from his dad. So you could go warlock, you could go wizard, but with the spells we need, I think we have to do wizard.
I don't disagree. I think that's totally doable. I'm here for that.
So we have the race. I think we're close to having our classes. We have our main powers, and we have the D&D equivalent. What else do we need here? I mean, honestly, we understand that they're a single-hand swordsman. They have dark magic with specifically Hellfire, Dark Metamorphosis, Tetraspirit, Soul Steel, and Alter Appearance, and Shape Change. That's pretty much all we know outside of the immortality, outside of the bloodlust, and outside of the lore. That's really what this person can do. So what we have for that is we have the Dhamphir race with the specific characteristics of blood hunger and vampiric parent. When it comes to the single-hand swordsman, we discussed the potential of the warlock, but fighter does make sense. And in order to just give them more prowess than the average fighter, or not the average fighter, but more prowess than the average human on the battlefield, I'm suggesting at least a 5th level, but most likely a 7th level fighter.
I don't remember how we ended up doing stats for Shazam.
I'm pretty sure we chose them based on what made the most sense. Like we knew Shazam was uber powerful,
But we like limited ourselves to a certain extent, and I don't remember if we did that just
I think we
ourselves.
just we honor system. Oh, we honor systemed ourselves. We understand the
Okay.
balance. We can't give everything 16s,
Sure.
but certain creatures are just not going to have an 8 or a 7.
Yeah.
We know that he's super strength, but we know that he is not Shazam super strength.
Yeah.
So I'm okay giving this a 16 to an 18 in strength. Higher, much higher than average, but it does not need to be the main stat.
Sure.
But it has to be higher than average, definitely higher than a 15. Has to be at least a 16.
Do you think he's going to have any 20s?
Oh yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
think he's going to have anything past 20?
For a player build, I would prefer try not to go past 20.
Okay.
But honestly, to be completely honest, I don't think Alucard has anything justifiably over a 20. We know that he's above Elvish intelligence, but Alucard is not Dracula. So I would be okay saying that Alucard is higher intelligence than they are wisdom. I would say Dracula is the more wise of the two. He's been around longer. He's had more death threats.
Higher intelligence makes sense, being part wizard.
Yeah, so I'm okay with him being above average strength, higher intelligence than wisdom. I think higher dexterity than strength.
I kind of do too.
Maybe less constitution than Dracula, so he doesn't have to have a 20 constitution. And charisma, I know Dracula's huge in charisma, but we haven't heard anything about Alucard being super high in charisma either. So what I'm thinking is something along the lines of, so I'm just going to throw out some numbers here and then we'll adjust. But I'm just going to kind of throw out like what I think. So
Okay. And this is base
this is just
before any additions.
Yeah, charisma, he doesn't need to be super low, but I think he doesn't deserve to be less than standard charisma. He's still a vampire.
Sure.
Wisdom is where I think the dump stat could go, because he's still a human and he's only ever been coddled by his dad. He doesn't really have what we would consider wisdom-based necessities.
Sure.
So I don't even care knocking his wisdom down to a 10 or a 9. So those are his dump stats.
The biggest thing that wisdom has is insight and perception.
And he doesn't have any of that because he's not old enough. So I'm okay knocking that anywhere down to a 9. 9 to 11, charisma 9. Intelligence, dex, and con, I think are the ones that need it. I think dexterity and intelligence should be his max. I think constitution should be high. I know I put constitution lower than strength here, but it's kind of that. If I rolled this though, that's probably what I would have chosen, even though, because constitution doesn't equate to immortality. So at the end of the day,
Yeah, I also would have done that. Having a +3 in your strength is going to be very important.
I think so
when
too.
it comes to your attacks.
I think strength could still have a 14 and be fine.
I agree. I think this is the right choice.
Okay.
I do. With this in mind,
So wisdom. Do we care if wisdom's as low as a 9 just to really let that balance out?
I don't think, especially with who this is, I don't think any of his stats should be lower than a 10. Now, when thinking about the bumps that you're going to get from your race, where are you thinking about putting those?
So
especially because you get to choose. Again, I still think
you get 2 and 1 or all. Or
I
one
personally would go the 2 and 1 so that you can bump one stat to 20.
Yeah. I would definitely say intelligence or dexterity to 20. And probably
I'm leaning towards intelligence because
for the casting, 100% for the casting,
and for the saving throws, because it's going to increase your saving throws.
So +2 from the race on intelligence.
I think strength, because getting strength to an 18 would be awesome. And there's
but you're only gonna get a +1 right now.
There's plenty of feats that we can take eventually.
Okay, so
that will bump
+1.
that up
Okay,
to,
so +1
one
from the
more.
race. Okay, so +1 from the race. So there we go. There, perfect. Okay, I'm okay with that. In order, we get what? So when do we get ASI? So level progression.
Depending on, so if we're starting with Druid, you get no ASIs. You're only going to get your first level feature and then your second level feature.
Oh, because different classes get different ASIs.
They get ASIs at different levels. Yes. So fighters, you're going to get ASIs more often. Wizards, you're going to get ASIs less often.
What is the bare minimum we need? Because I just need to know how many effects do we need in order to complete the build. So we want to get strength up to 18. We know that for the level progression we need at least 1 feat ASI for a strength +1.
Are any of the features that we've made note of for so far feats that we need for this character?
Nothing that we need requires a strength or an ASI. So at this point, is anything feel better? Other than getting the strength up to 18, is there any other stat or any other ability that would just really chef's kiss this build that would justify?
The only other thing that I would do is if we had a spare ASI, I would put 2 in con. It would make me feel better.
Oh, One more in con.
I would take, instead of taking a feat, I would take the ASI where you get to put 2 points into a singular stat.
Oh, I didn't know you get 2 points. I thought it was just a one for one, one ASI.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
So times
I would bump
ASI feat for strength times 1 ASI for con +2. Because these are the first two. In order, we want a strength, your +1 to strength and your +2 to con for sure. But as you continue to progress, how many more would we theoretically get by the end of the build? So you're only getting, so we're going to get total of 4. By the end of this build, we're going to get 4. Okay, so we know for sure for the roadmap, the first 2 you're going to burn. You're going to get an ASI for your strength. Well, actually, wait a second. So if there's no feat, what if we used our first ASI for a strength boost? Brings our strength from a 17 to a 19. Then our second ASI is the con boost from Constitution 14 to 16. And our intelligence is now already at 20. Then we still get 2 more ASI boosts before the end. So that means that we can use another ASI boost for a strength +1 and another +1. Strength will now be 20. And then we can do another Constitution, which now will equal 19. And that last one, we still have another feat. We still haven't figured out if we need another feat or not.
Let me ask you this. Looking at Alucard, what type of armor do you think?
Usually I consider that being usually chainmail. Most of the series, I look at that as chainmail because most of the time they're just in their fancy garb, and that's not really armor. They don't really have armor, but I assume it's chain.
I'm worried about, are we planning on keeping his AC at a 14? Question would become, because I think that it would make a lot more sense to be light armor than it would be medium armor.
Okay.
Because medium armor feels like it's supposed to be a bit more bulky, a bit more noticeable. And so I would think that would not qualify according to 5th edition. But I do see how chainmail theoretically,
it's woven into.
Isn't that theoretically what Frodo had on when he was wearing whatever he was wearing underneath his clothes?
I've always looked at chainmail as the bridge between real armor and cloth. It's moves like cloth, but heavy like armor. And that's why I'm okay giving them, because I wouldn't, if we're going purely to the source, like just visually to the source, you can't give them plate armor.
Sure.
But it's D&D. Who cares?
I mean,
if it closely relates to what he would be, like if you think that it should be harder to hit him, period,
is like,
then we can give him whatever we want.
What we're trying to do is make it as realistic as possible without, breaking the immersion, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we love the fact that we can just straight up call him a Dhamphir, because everything that's a part of it makes perfect sense. And so I see the idea of wanting to do that throughout.
I don't care about the visual ideology. That to me is pedantic because that's not how D&D works. D&D works off of the mechanics, and I just want.
I agree. And my mindset is actually a little bit more towards the mechanics, because mechanics saying whether you can add your dexterity modifier to your AC or not, I feel like this particular character likely would. Like, genuinely speaking, I would love it if they had unarmored defense, like a monk or a barbarian. I don't think it's worth dipping into those levels.
Is there an unarmored defense feat? Is there not a?
I wish there was.
How is there not a feat?
I fucking wish there was.
That doesn't make any sense though. That there is no feat that just says that,
because anybody can learn what the people who do.
Aren't there feats that give you upgrades in armor class? Like, isn't there a feat that gives you, like, if you know medium, large?
Yeah, okay. No,
or heavy.
There are feats that give you like training in certain ones, and there's other feats that will give you. You can add an additional point of dexterity into your medium armor.
Yeah,
like stuff like that.
There should be a way to do that with unarmored defenses.
I 100% agree.
So I see what you're saying is depicted wise, he shouldn't be as easy to hit as someone in cloth armor. But to me, I don't think that's what we're worried about. What he carries on him and what, like his armor, his weapons isn't what we're worried about. It's how do you make the character? And yes, he may be harder to hit.
I do want to be able to like explain like what their AC is at the end of the day.
I'm not sure I'm
so
as
I would say it's for sure a wizard spell. It's easy enough. You can just give it to yourself all day long. Just saying you give yourself mage armor every day for 8 hours a day. Gives you 13 plus your dexterity. His dexterity is a +4. He's got at least a 17 AC 90% of the time. Like that's
armor completely explains it.
That's enough.
So yeah, and yeah, we can even add that as part of the magic is mage armor. Okay. So we still have one ASI. So at this point, we've been able to get our strength to 19. our constitution to a 16, and no, I'm sorry, our strength to a 20, our constitution to a 17, and our intelligence to a 20. 3.
So I will say we never really so far did anything for healing for himself called Remarkable Recovery.
Ooh.
It has 1 constitution to a maximum of 20.
Oh, okay. And that would give him the 18, which would be perfect.
It says your body has the ability to recover quickly from terrible injuries and is usually receptive to healing magic. You gain the following benefits. When you are successfully stabilized from dying, you regain hit points equal to your constitution modifier. Whenever you regain hit points as the result of a spell, potion, or class feature, you regain additional hit points equal to your constitution modifier.
Done. That's fucking perfect. That feat plus those ASIs, that means he has a strength of 20 by the end. Strength of 20, dex of 18, constitution of 18, intelligence of 20, wisdom of 10, charisma of 11, and can self-heal and bump his healing.
And that includes when you use the fighter feature, second wind, to spend a hit
Even
dice in the
better.
middle of battle.
And that
it's going to bump
Vampiric touch.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yep.
I think that's it.
I think that's pretty clean.
I think we have it here. I think this is it. All of the information on the screen is what we need. All right. So real quick recap.
Okay.
So the goal was to make Alucard from Castlevania. We know that he is a half vampire, half human, which also named Dhamphir in the lore. Outside of that, and outside of going against his father, outside the lore, what we know that he can do is he's a very proficient single-handed swordsman. He uses dark magic in the equivalent of Hellfire, the Dark Metamorphosis, the Tetra Spirit, Soul Steel, Alter Self, and the Shapeshifting, which is innate from his vampiric self. He's very strong, he's very intelligent, and he has just a lot of agility. And he's technically immortal. So that's, for the most part, what we know he can do. There's not a lot. He can turn into 3 forms, he can cast Fireball, he can heal himself. He's what you would expect from an undead build. You know what I mean? He has magic, he has fighting prowess, he has knowledge.
2 things.
But he's kind of just an undead monster.
We have 11 levels in Wizard.
Yep.
Which means we still need to choose a subclass and for Fighter.
That's true. We know what spells we need, but that's not going to matter what subclass, right? The spells aren't going to
The spells
change.
are just on the spell list, and we have
a 1-for-1 for all the spells we know he casts in game. The Hellfire gets Scorching Ray, Dark Metamorphosis gets Vampiric Touch, the Tetra Spirit gets Conjure Animal, Soul Steel gets Soul Cage, Alter Appearance, and Alter Self, and then the Shape-Shifting, which is from the Druid, but we're also going to add in Mage Armor to boost his AC. So all of that's good. All of his stats are good. So is there anything that we haven't answered? And if there isn't,
is there
at
anything
this
else
point,
under their powers?
nothing that we've seen.
I mean, other than a little bit of healing.
Outside of that, there are no other very specific powers that we've seen. So at this point, the subclasses are only there to really enhance what we already have. The best thing that we can do at this point is choose subclasses that only lean into what we can already do. There's no other additions we need.
Wizards cannot cast healing words or cure wounds.
Oh, that sucks. No, none of their subclasses?
I mean, maybe some of their subclasses.
So maybe we should do a subclass of one of those that can do
that would be my question. So I will say there are a lot of fighter subclasses you could choose. I think Battlemaster is likely because they have what are called battlefield maneuvers where you can do different things like riposte or disarm or do different things.
Yes, 100%.
Basically creatively.
Especially because we talked about how he has like that ability to hit someone in the back and then appear in front of them. I think so so Battlemaster is the subclass for fighter.
So you get to choose maneuvers.
Okay, so I'm okay with a Battlemaster fighter. So wizard, unless we want to go with one that can do more healing, I would say a wizard, any of the necromantic wizards, because that's kind of what it seems like we're leaning towards, because he has dark magic. So anything that leans more into necromantic wizardry, I think might be the way to go.
There's one called Blood Magic.
I mean, what does that do?
Use attrition at 2nd level, you're able to use your own depleted life essence to channel your magic abilities. Whenever your current hit points are below your hit point maximum, you can use your own body as an arcane focus. In addition, when casting wizard spells that requires a costly material component, you can forego the component by taking 1d10 necrotic damage per 50 GP cost. That's wild.
That's kind of a cool concept for him.
Very cool concept.
It fits the lore. Again, it's not like something that we see him doing, but
Right.
the blood connection, I'm okay with just it fitting the lore.
Also,
and it makes him much more of a formidable wizard by
Yes.
being able to just pull
Yes.
out the spells because he can.
And with all the stuff we're adding to his health, also at second level, you learn to weave your life force into spells you cast, boosting its intensity at the cost of your vitality.
I'm
Whenever you
100% okay with
roll-
this.
Whenever you roll damage for a spell you cast at first level or higher, you can choose to take necrotic damage equal to the spell's level to re-roll a number of damage dice up to your intelligence modifier.
I am so okay with this.
That's kind of cool.
What's this called? This is Wizard Blood Magic?
Yeah, it's called Blood Magic.
I'm sold. Unless you can find another one, I am totally sold on a Blood Magic.
All right, so if that's the case, we're going up to 11th level in this. You get 2 more features, a 6th level feature and a 10th level feature. At 6th level, when a creature you can see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to bind your vitality to the attacker and force them to share your pain. The attacker takes damage equal to the damage you took.
I'm not upset with any of that. I just think that's the one thing so far that we've come across yet that won't be in the icon build.
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
And the last one is Glyph of Hemorrhaging.
Not hemorrhoids.
Not hemorrhoids.
Dude, can you imagine the cliff of hemorrhoids?
God bless America. That would be so disturbing. Starting at 10th level, when you damage a creature with a spell, you can choose to curse that creature for 1 minute. While cursed in this way, whenever the creature is hit by an attack, it takes 1d6 necrotic damage. At the end of the creature's turns, it can make Constitution saving throws against your spell save DC, ending the curse on a success.
Again, those are the only two things we don't.
Slightly unnecessary.
And the fact that that's the only things that don't go on or the icon accurate build. That's insane, bro.
Okay. For Battle Master Fighter, like there are a bunch of maneuvers that you could take. Like I would probably recommend, something like disarm, riposte, things like that. I doubt he would use like a rally cry or things like. So at 7th level, not only do you gain another superiority die, but you also learn 2 additional maneuvers. So you'll have a total of 4 maneuvers.
And we get some, and that's our capstone for fighter.
Exactly. And then you get this last feature called Know Your Enemy, which I feel like fits super well. If you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, you can learn information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is equal to, superior to, or inferior to yourself in regard to 2 of the following characteristics of your choice: your strength score, dexterity score, constitution score, armor class, current hit points, total class level, if any, total fight levels in fighter.
That leans so well into the intelligence bump. The ability that where you were taught by your dad as a fighter, who he has thousands of years of experience, but you only have 100 of his teachings. Dude, that just makes it perfect. That literally solidifies this so much more in what I would expect to get from Alucard, the character.
It's
like personality and expectations wise, I am so happy with this build.
So I am curious. I'm going to see what the average health for this character would be at this level.
Okay.
The average for Druid is 5. I'm going to assume we're taking 2 of those. I'm assuming it's not going to be the first one, because the first one, theoretically, you get max.
Gotcha.
And just for posterity's sake, I'm going to make it fighter, because that's the highest one.
Oh, yeah. Always been max in this case.
So for fighter, an average for them is going to be 6. And I'm going to take minus the first level 7 or 6 additional levels. So that's is 56. And then as far as my wizard levels, that's the lowest of the D6, and the average for that is going to be 4, but I'm taking 11 levels in that. So we have 44, and then we have 44 plus 56. I think we're at exactly 100, like exactly 100 hit points.
I mean,
but you still get to add your constitution.
Yeah.
And so
what's
our constitution modifier at the end of all of this?
It's going to be an 18 total. So
an 18, so that's 4. So that's going to be 4 times 20.
So 80.
So that would be 180.
Not bad. And again,
almost 200 hit points.
Yes, granted that Alucard is immortal, but again, like out of every depiction we've seen of Dracula and Alucard, if overwhelmed by enough people, they aren't,
I'm not gonna,
you know,
listen,
they aren't impossible to kill.
when you're fighting a bad guy, something with 200 points, 200 hit points is nothing to sneeze at.
Not at all.
Right? Like when you're up against an opponent, 200 hit points is scary, especially with all the things that it can do.
And this is a playable character. I mean,
Now,
it ain't gonna be alone.
I feel like they should have resistance to like non-magical attacks, but I don't think that we need that. There's nothing necessarily in here that says they should have that. But outside of that,
I think we have enough. I'm curious when you're building this, if you run into any roadblocks that we didn't see here today. But I think this is it. I think we've done it. I think a Dhamphir with the Blood Hunger, Vampire Parents, a Druid, Fighter, Wizard, a 2-7-11 is going to do it. We get the exact a 1-for-1 spell list. We get amazing stats especially for a Wizard primary class. We get
20 in strength as a Wizard.
Yeah. So here we go. All right. So we've done our recap. And that's pretty much it. That is Alucard from Castlevania, everybody.
Dude, this was good.
Absolutely.
This was good.
Yeah, not very complicated, y'all. It's actually pretty straightforward. I mean, you just need a Dhamphir race with the Blood Hunger and Vampiric Parents. You need a Druid at level 2. You need a Fighter at level 7 with the Battle Master subclass. You need a Wizard at level 11 with a Blood Mage subclass. You can take all of the main powers directly from Alucard, and you can get all of them directly in Magic. With his Dark Magic, you can get Hellfire as Scorching Ray in D&D. His Dark Metamorphosis is basically Vampiric Touch. His Tetra Spirit is Conjure Animal. Soul Steel and Soul Cage are one and the same. Alter Appearance, Alter Self should be, you know, pretty obvious. And his Mage Armor will also bump that AC up into an area that you'll feel nice and spicy in combat. We get the Shapeshifter from being a Druid, so you still get your Wolf form. You might have to do a little bit of homebrewing for Bat form. Other than that, if you are able to start off with some pretty common stats here, if you can get your Dexterity to an 18, start out with a 16 in Strength, a 14 in Constitution, an 18 in Intelligence, and then dump your Wisdom and Charisma, you'll be fine. Because with the use of ASIs across the board, 3 different ASIs, you're going to be able to get a Strength of 20, a Dexterity of 18, a Constitution of 18, and an Intelligence of 20, which is just going to make you just chef's kiss the ideal representation of Alucard, right?
Indeed.
The son of Dracula. And of course, we're going to get the Unremarkable Feat, which will give you that extra bump in Constitution, but it's also going to give you that extra ability to heal, which is exactly what we want. I think we've been successful here today. I really like the new format. I really like what we're going with. This might be our best pop culture build to date.
Yeah.
I don't even think Shazam was this clean. We will be working hard, or I should say, Kage will be working very hard to get the builds out. So remember, we're going to have 3 builds coming out available in Discord. With the builds, you are going to get an icon accurate build, which is going to be everything that is going to be specific just to the Alucard build. Now, granted, we've already talked about this. 99% of this is going to be on that build. That's really the only thing that's not going to be on the Alucard build is those extra snippets from the Blood Magic subclass, because they don't directly relate to anything that Alucard can do. On the D&D-Accurate build, of course, it will have absolutely everything. So those few little tiny snippets that don't really make sense for Alucard will be on that one. And then finally, we will have a roadmap, which will basically just tell you what you need from each class at the specific point. And there you'll have it. If you want to build this class yourself from scratch, starting at level 1, or if you just want to have it built from the get-go right out the gate at level 20, we will provide that for you in the Discord shortly. But other than that, I hope everybody had a fantastic time. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Let us know in chat. Let us know in the comments if you're on YouTube. Let us know in the Discord. We want to keep doing this. Hopefully, you will join us for the next community stream. And as always, we stream every Monday and Friday during the week with normal D&D discussions. We do homebrew review on Mondays, and then we do deep dives on Fridays. So join us for that if you liked it. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.